Welcome to Simply Sarah. I'm Sarah Stockham, your host, and I am so pleased that you are here, opening up your heart, ready to gain new wisdom, insight. I want to say quickly thank you also to our sponsors, the Segner family and Lamano Art. Michelle Stockham is an incredible artist. You also might see that she goes by Michelle Brown, and she also did the artwork behind me, and I'm just so grateful for that. I also want to say thank you. I was just listening to the intro again as it was playing to Danny Koch. He has written music for Mission Impossible for their releases. He has written also music for many, many other games. And that song that you heard was one that he wrote and also recorded in front of a live, with live musicians in studio. And I'm just so grateful for him and for that. So, in this space of deep gratitude for our time together, let me bring in Bethany Stone. Bethany, what a pleasure to have you in studio today, friend.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I'm really excited to be here.
I'm excited for this conversation. I would love for you to tell our listeners what it is that you do, and with that, share how you got to where you are today.
So, I am a master mindset and life skills coach. And when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do because I had some extreme life changes that happened in my life, I knew that this is what I needed to do because I am a teacher. So,
Yes.
I have been teaching in Montessori schools for 22 years, almost 23 years. And it is a space that holds my heart because you are meeting the child as a whole. You're meeting them spiritually, intellectually, physically, any way that that child's needs need to be met, you're able to meet them. And so I helped create curriculum for classrooms. I've written curriculum and I opened up a school, and then my life kind of changed. Whereas I had a son who got sick, and he got sick with something that is very difficult. It's mitochondrial dysfunction disorder, which is his mitochondrial system, which is like the powerhouse of your energy and everything else. Just his cells just do not produce the energy that they need. And to get that at 15 years old is pretty devastating. And at the time, my husband was working at home. And so he was available, but then he needed to go back into office. And so family is the most important thing. So
Yes.
that's what I did. I transitioned and I still am a part of the school and I still support and help them.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew that I needed to teach and that drive to teach is so strong. I don't know how not to teach. I mean, on top of everything, I also teach ballroom dance and am a bungee fitness instructor because I just need to teach. I just love it.
Yes.
And transitioning into the a different space, everyone told me you need to niche down. I don't know if you've heard this. You
Right.
know, everyone needs to have a niche. And realistically, I don't think I believe this
Right.
because people, I'm going to take it from Shrek. Shrek said that it's like an onion. People are like onions. We
Yes.
have so many layers. We cannot just approach one layer and expect
Mhm.
everything to be good.
Mhm.
That's not how life works. And we need to have skills to be able to enhance our lives.
Mhm.
And so that's why I've been teaching life skills for years.
Mhm.
And as I have discovered moving on, is that as adults, we don't have all the skills that we need
Right.
to like really be successful in life or not feel overwhelmed or have conflict resolution or
Mhm.
all of these issues are just life skills.
Yes.
They're just life skills that we just need to learn because we can be so much better if we just gain these skills. So that's what I do is I teach life skills
Mhm.
so that you can not feel burned out and overwhelmed and you can feel better and you can feel like you can handle all the things that are you have to juggle because we juggle a lot of things now.
Yes.
And that's what I do.
Bethany, I love that you know that you know that you know that you are a teacher and that you can't not teach. That is part of
I,
the story as well. It's in my DNA. And that space of for myself being able to learn something and have somebody walk alongside me and make sure that it's really integrated into my life is such an important thing. I continue to work with coaches and mentors. It's such an important piece in my life. And I also love the space of the opposite side of that, of being able to coach and mentor other people. And what you said about Shrek is just so true. I believe also that when we just service one particular space, now there is definitely a time and a place for somebody to
yeah,
come in and do just one thing. I fully understand that. But for the full person, for the gestalt of the person, for all the different parts that fit in, there is such a need to be able to listen to all the different things and to be able to coach, to mentor, to encourage, to show, to teach in different places, different ways, and drawing on a vast reservoir of information. I also really appreciate that you came to a really difficult place in your life of your son being diagnosed and needing to make some huge life changes. But the North Star was always that family is first, and having that in such a important place that it sounds like it allowed you to be able to move from what you were doing, having a Montessori school and doing all of the different pieces that go along with that as a business, taking the skills and talents that you had there and being able to move them into an online space where you're able to literally coach life skills around the world. What an amazing, powerful story of transformation for you.
it has. It has been an amazing transformation because I've had to learn a lot of things. This has been an educational transformation for me because going from very tactile, Montessori, we don't use a lot of technology.
Right.
And it has been, I have watched so many how-to videos on how to do things, and I have learned so much.
Yes.
And I tell my husband, I'm like, I'm so proud of myself. This was really a difficult thing. I've been able to build a website. I
Yes.
have been able to like do these things I never dreamed I would be doing.
Right.
And for me, it was also very empowering. Like it was always empowering to have what I had and to do speaking engagements and to have people want to know what I know. That feels good.
Yes.
But to do something for yourself that you are reaching out to do is a different kind of good.
It
It's like I did that. Like I'm so proud of myself. Like this was hard, but I did that. And that was cool.
Yes. And to be able to see that growth in yourself. I came from
Mhm.
a classroom where we used some technology and we were moving into a phase of doing even more. But having the show Simply Sarah, I needed to learn other types of technology. And I love what you said about going to the Google Library and asking questions and finding reliable sources to be able to teach. In fact, today I was looking up something that I hadn't thought about before. I had seen it from the experience of the person who has the credit card. I had not seen the experience from the side of the person who someone's giving you their credit card for business. And I was just like, how does that work, right? And
Mhm.
and had to keep refining my question till I got the answer that I was looking for. And I think that space of being unafraid to continue to refine the question is one, whether we are asking the Google Library or we are talking to somebody or we are looking for a life coach and looking for somebody who has such a vast, deep understanding of the skills that we need to have as an adult and who is able and willing to teach it. You looking for those spaces to know the questions that help us to find the answers best. Honing that skill, I think, is an important one.
Yeah. I think there's a course that I have that I there's a portion in this course that's called intellectual self-care. And it talks about all the different kinds of self-care that we need. And it is one of the most crucial parts of not feeling burned out and overwhelmed is always engaging your intellectual need. And I think that we forget that. We sometimes think that, I just need to zone out and watch TV,
Mm.
and that's going to help me. And then the next day you don't feel better and you don't know why.
Yeah.
And it's because you didn't stimulate the right parts of your body
Mhm.
that needed stimulating. It's so crucial for us to, as we age,
Mm.
to get a hobby, have hobbies, have things that we love, whether it's pickleball or gardening or finding something.
Mhm.
And that is intellectual self-care,
Mm.
reading a book,
Yeah.
studying something, learning something that we don't, it's not easy or something new.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was growing up, I mean, we had the whole Encyclopedia Britannica,
Me
on
too. On the shelf.
that's how, yeah, on the shelf. That's how we learn things. And I
Yes.
remember being frustrated as a child, being like, asking my mom something, and she'd be like, "Well, go look at it." I'd be like, "Just
Yes.
tell me." And as a child, I was frustrated, but now as an adult, I miss that. I miss like
Mhm.
the effort it takes because now, because we made things so easy, are we really delving in as much as we really can? Are
Mm.
we really learning this? Are we really grasping this information?
Mm.
There's been so many times where I've needed to learn a new concept or a new topic, and I can't just watch one video. I need to research it.
Yes.
And that's something that I feel like is becoming a lost art is
Mhm.
let's research it out and let's really figure something out.
Yeah. I think one of the things for me with gardening that I found to be so interesting that I had forgotten about, because the last place we had lived for over 2 decades, and um, I just knew the cycle of, spring would come and the flowers would come up. And we had a beautiful long wall that had citrus on it, citrus trees, and knew what order that they would, show up in. And had kind of forgotten that space of when you transplant plants. So there's some irises that were, I think, probably on the farm in Nebraska. And then they moved to the house in town in Nebraska. And that's where I remember them. And then after my grandmother passed, I got some of those and took them then to where we were living in Southern California. And we lived in different places there. So each time I made sure that we had grandma's iris with us. And then we relocated across the country, and I planted them and realized that where I planted them wasn't the right place, planted them again. We had really nice greenery out of them last year. And there were already irises here that I completely tore up the bed, created a whole nother bed, and moved them into. So all of the irises from different grandmas had been moved, and again had beautiful greenery. I think that we may have had two flowers last year out of the ones that were out of the soil here. But the ones where I changed the soil, even though I brought a little bit of the soil with me, those didn't have any flowers until this year. And they are so abundant this year. I'm just amazed by that. But last year I was a little sad. I was like, all that work and all this intention, and I don't know if we're going to get any flowers out of it. And that place of waiting, that place of still nurturing, of still feeding the plants, of still, even though they weren't flowering, to still be caring for them. Here it is. We've been here almost 22 months, and wow, we have flowers this year. So that long space. And for me, I had forgotten the importance of sticking with something for a period of time in order to see the results, because gardening had just become a seasonal thing, right, where I was living. So have you seen some of that perhaps in some of your clients, that they were surprised that it took longer, or that they needed some space to watch the difference that was taking place in their own life as they were applying new skills that they learned from you?
Yes, I actually talk about this because I grew up. So my parents owned a nursery. They owned a nursery and a landscaping business. And I talk to my clients about how every single one of us have seeds of potential within us.
Yes.
We all have so much potential within us. And it's very interesting because we choose whether to nurture those seeds and grow them
Right.
or not. And another thing that happens with these seeds is sometimes they can get sick. Our plants can get sick and they can wither away, or they can just turn black and they can disease other things.
Right.
And it's really acknowledging like where you're at. What are the seeds of potential that you have? What are you growing? Do you have something that is diseased? And a lot of the times, well, actually, I'm going to say 100% of the time, we always end up with something that just is diseased or has spread
Mm.
because we're not living in the easy world. We're not living in a world that is, sunshine and flowers all the time, which I would really love that. I would really love that, but we're not. We are
Right.
living in a world of negativity. We are
Mm.
living in a world that is heavy. We're living in a world that really makes us feel less than what we really are.
Mm.
And between looking at screens and comparing them, media, just hearing things, we're always bombarded. And we have
Mm.
behind closed doors. I mean, um, I'm on my third marriage actually,
Mm.
but my first two marriages were very abusive and they really planted
Mm.
dark seeds that really spread and made me feel less than.
Mm.
And growing up, I never felt less than.
Right.
My seeds were abundant. I
Yes.
mean, I was, second in the nation in ballroom dance. I was, in school plays. I had my seeds were just, my plants were big.
Yes.
And slowly life happened.
Mm.
And my seeds became diseased. And
Mm.
my seeds became yucky and they spread. And all of the plants and all the greenery that I did have just really, really decayed
Mm.
and got broken. But here is the beautiful thing. Even if those things happen, and even if you have terrible, horrible things happening in your life, seeds do this amazing thing called going dormant.
Yes.
And because we all have these seeds in them, even if they're diseased, even if something happens, they can go dormant. And if you have the right environment,
Mm.
you have the right soil, sunshine, rain, pH is just perfect, those seeds will grow and they're going to grow again and they're going to grow even better and stronger.
Mm.
And especially if you keep nurturing them because now you have the knowledge of the disease and of the things that can happen. And that is the true beauty of us as human beings. If we're going to take a plant analogy, and I know plants, like
Yes.
a seed is the best analogy because we do grow and we
Mhm.
can grow. So,
Mm. This is such a perfect place for us to say thank you to our sponsors. We will be right back.
Hi, I'm Michelle. I am the founder and owner of Lamano Art. I began this business over 20 years ago. I specialize in paintings of all kinds. I make murals, portraits, and live paintings. My specialty is color and also telling a story. Some of the work that Lamano Art does are calligraphy pieces, wedding invitations, sign work, and sculptures like fairy doors. I'm open to working with anyone on any idea. Please feel free to contact me at your convenience, and I look so forward to talking to you. Thank you.
Bethany, I am loving this conversation and your vulnerability about talking about your own life in that space of being in relationships that you found to be ones that clouded how sunshiny you are. and to be able to say, wait a minute, there's another way. And to talk about seeds, the ability that seeds have to go dormant and to be able in other circumstances to come back and to be planted in good soil and to watch the transformation that happens in that space. What were some of the tools or some of the techniques or things that you leaned on to help you get through those really difficult relationships?
Well, okay. So my first marriage, he was, well, he is. He is a really good man.
Mm,
But when you have mental illness and when you self-medicate for mental illness, which is a very, very common thing,
very,
it
yes.
can very much so change you.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the circumstance that happened.
Mm,
And I have three, like I have three boys. And they're all, like, I was married for 10 years to this man. And the reason why I stayed is because I did know his heart.
right.
But the aspect of that is that when you're abusing substances, you can sometimes become violent. And that is what happened. And it was a very violent, scary situation multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, when I had an angel friend, and we all need angel friends, you know that?
We
She's
do.
like, Bethany, this is not okay. This
Yeah.
is not okay. You know what? You need to be done. And I'm like, okay. Well, I was broken. And when you are broken, you show that you're broken. One of the things that I teach is something called the vicious cycle.
Mm,
And when we get caught in a vicious cycle continually, we show that. Like,
yeah.
we always have negative thought patterns. Our bodies are hunched, our eyes are downward.
Mm-hmm.
We show that.
Yeah.
And the more that we are in a vicious cycle, the more that yucky energy just kind of goes everywhere and people can sense that.
Yes.
And that is what happened is like very quickly an even more dangerous man
Mm,
came after me because he sensed that I was weak. I was in a bad place. I was diagnosed with battered wife syndrome. I just was really trodden down.
mm-hmm.
My beautiful plants and seeds were just yucky. They
Yeah.
were just not good anymore. And I felt that. I felt that
Mm,
at such a deep level that I did not, sorry, I might get emotional, that I felt like I didn't have worth. And that's a really hard thing to feel.
yeah.
But we get there. I mean, people get there and it's hard. And this man took advantage of me.
Mm,
And he had multiple children. He knew I was an educator. He knew I worked with kids that had special needs. He had kids with special needs. He married me to take care of his kids. Like,
mm,
just a weird, terrible situation. And he was so much more abusive. Like,
mm,
my first husband is a good man. Second guy is not a good man, intentionally.
mm,
Like, intentionally trying to destroy you and make you feel less than. And he did. He got me to the point where I did not feel like I had any value left.
mm.
I was crushed. And it was actually at probably the lowest point in my life where I was laying in my bed. You know, you just when you get there, you just don't feel like doing anything.
Don't feel like getting
You're
up.
no,
Yeah.
you're just yuck. You're just blah. And I'm just sitting there laying in bed and I'm literally thinking about the pills I could take, you know? Like, you just have all these terrible ideas. And then a little miracle happened because God knows that I'm a Montessori teacher. He knows I know so much about animals and birds and so
Yes.
many things. And I looked outside the window and there was a little hummingbird couple making a nest. And hummingbird nests are really rare to see,
They are. Yes.
right outside the window. And I watched and hummingbirds also the material that they use to make their nests. are the softest materials that they can find in nature,
Yes.
because they form them around their bodies and they make this perfect structure. And I'm watching this, and my little dormant black seed that is just yucky, all of a sudden had gratitude fed into it.
Yes.
And that gratitude was for this amazing moment that I knew was such an amazing moment to witness.
Yes.
And as soon as I was able to see that, and just that little tiny glimpse of gratitude was enough for me to sprout that little seed and realize that I have so many things to be grateful for, and looking outside myself. And so, really, the trick to, a lot of things is looking outside of ourselves.
Yes.
And when we can look outside of ourselves, we realize how many things that we have to be grateful for, how many people love us. And when we do that, it starts restoring our value.
Yes.
And when we can start restoring our value and restoring the appreciation that we have for others and for ourselves and for the opportunities that we have and the people that we have in our lives, that just grows our seed even more and we become so strong. So, or long story short, but this man did not like that I became strong,
Right.
and he worked in law and tried to manipulate it. And actually, it was a police officer who was like, he is verbally abusing you and emotionally abusing you. You need to get out right now.
Mhm.
And he cited him to get out of the property. And I took what I needed. And I actually have not talked to that man since that happened. It
Wow.
was years, some years ago. So, but it has been amazing. And yes, I am remarried on my third marriage, which I never thought would happen ever, ever, because I was pretty much a man hater at that time point in my life. I thought all men were inherently evil,
Mhm.
and I feel like I had good reason to think that. But again, God works in mysterious ways because I was working 5 jobs. I moved in with my mom and dad, moved in with my mom and dad, was waitressing, donating plasma, opened a school. I was teaching private ballroom dance lessons. I was managing my parents' greenhouses, and I was doing as many things as I could to just better the life of me and my boys.
Yes.
And all while I was nurturing myself.
Yes.
And then this man comes along, and I thought he was an old man because he messaged me, and I thought, 'cause his name is Reed. That's an old man name. Like, he wanted to teach dance classes. I'm like, oh, yes, new client. Anyways, I taught him how to dance, and he's a great dancer. We go
Mhm.
dancing, and it took him a long time for me to agree to a date, but I did, and it was one of the best things I've ever done, and he is amazing. And I'm so happy now that I have these seeds that have grown. I've lived this experience. I've lived through a lot. I've taught a lot. And I've been able to pull from the knowledge of the things that I already knew from teaching
Mhm.
and from my own experiences. And I'm so grateful because I'm able to relate in such a different way to so many people because
Mhm.
I've been through a lot of crazy, but that's okay. We're still good.
What I so appreciate, Bethany, is that you are able to turn the coin over and say, look at the good side. Look at what happened out of this. Look at how this worked out. And I think that there is something that is really, really precious about that. Yes, it helps us move into a place of gratitude, but I think that there is something inside of us that also expands in that space of understanding our value and our place in the community differently, maybe even better, as a result of really difficult relationships, difficult experiences. I also really appreciate that you are able to find the words to talk about these things and share them, knowing that other people are listening in who may know somebody, and perhaps it's themselves that's going through something like that. And that space that you talked about with your first marriage, that it was a friend from the outside who said, an angel friend, as you called them, from the
Yeah.
outside saying, hey, and how important that is. And then that next relationship to have someone in law enforcement say, hey, and to gift you space to be able to take the things that you needed to with your boys to be able to get them to safety as well. Having these other people. And I think that sometimes in our societies around the world that we don't necessarily want to, we feel like we're intruding into someone else's life. And we don't want to give bad advice or advice that turns out to have consequences that we didn't see. And I really appreciate that. And I appreciate people listening for that. You really need to step forward and say something here, waiting for that feeling. I understand that. But if you are called upon to be that angel friend, to say to somebody, hey, your work environment isn't what it could be. Your home life isn't. The way that your kiddos are showing up is showing us that there's some kind of stress or something going on here. For there to be those kinds of open conversations and to allow the guard down long enough to be able to get the message, and then you get to decide what you want to do with it. I so appreciate that in both of those situations, you understood that you needed to take action, not just for yourself, but also for the next generation. And the responsibility that we have as nurturing moms who sometimes step into the space of being mom and dad, that space of caring for the next generation. And sometimes it's dads who are raising kids alone, needing to step into that place of mom and dad. But that space of saying, I need to provide a different opportunity for my children. And I so deeply honor and appreciate you caring for them and watching that process and making sure that they were also coming along with you to get them to safety as well.
It has been quite a journey. And I can tell you that my relationship with my boys is so strong. And I appreciate that so much because the most important thing, like I said before, is family. And the most important thing that you can do as a mother is be consistent for them. I know so much about child development. I've been teaching this for years and years.
Right.
And when you can just be that person for those kids, no matter what, even if your environment is crazy, even if things are not consistent, if you are the consistent,
Right.
that is going to make all the difference in the world. My boys are so amazing. They're so strong. I get multiple compliments about what did you do different? And the difference is that I made sure that they always knew that they were loved and
Yes.
were so important, regardless of the circumstances we were going through,
Right.
regardless of anything else,
Yes.
because that is the greatest impact that you can leave on your children is letting them know that they're valued and they're loved.
Yes.
Because luckily, my parents taught me that. And
Mm-hmm.
I knew when crazy things happened, guess what? I could call my mom. And
Yeah.
I still call my mom all the time. And because I know that I am valued and I am important to
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
And those are important things to be sure that we pass down to our children.
Yes. I also really appreciate that you were able to take the boys and move in with your parents for that period of time, that they got to be loved on by their grandparents. There's something I think that's so sweet about those relationships where it's multi-generational, and to be able to have the elders speak their wisdom and their love into the generation that follows. I think it's one of the really important things that some families are really coming back to that space. They may have known it before, but for whatever circumstances or whatever that's causing them to come into this space where you have more than just two generations in communication, particularly for the welfare of the youngest ones, how important that is to be able to have those words of love and wisdom spoken into and onto the next generation. That place of blessing, I think, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it is. And it was even more of a blessing because at the time, my mom and dad were taking care of my grandmother. So my boys got to get a very close relationship with their great grandmother, who is from Switzerland. And my dad is also from Switzerland. Like my whole heritage is very Swiss. And They would get to hear conversations, multiple language conversations at the table. They would get to, have my my sweet grandma. She'd get upset and talk in Swiss to them. And I mean,
Yeah.
you need to have these experiences as a child because when she passed, my boys, they still talk about her. Like they
Yes.
were able to have that relationship, Dolly.
Yes.
And it
Yes.
was so beautiful and I appreciate it so much.
Yes. And also that space then for you to be able to go back in a different capacity. You had lived in the house, you had helped out with all the different plants in the nursery, and you had been dancing and had this incredible space of the second best ballroom dancer in the entire country. And when you had the opportunity to move back home, there is something about that it's able to translate differently for the kids rather than just them hearing, or going through a yearbook or going through something and seeing it, or seeing a plaque or whatever, right? There's something about being inside of that to hear the story from a different place. And I share that a little bit that about almost 2 years ago, relocated to East Tennessee to be here to help take care of my mom, who's almost 90. And in this space, we chose to buy the property from her and move in with her, leaving her exactly her bedroom, her office, all those things exactly the same, knowing that when you begin to change somebody's where they are living, it really begins to change their memory structure. We've noticed this with people who have Alzheimer's and dementia, that as long as you can leave them in that space that you talked about, consistency, right? And so helping to protect the brain and the memories. And, mom will at different times begin to share stories. And I find that these are stories sometimes that I remember parts of, but yet I'm able to ask now, because we're living here, I'm able to ask for a wider, deeper understanding of that story. And there's just something that's really different about being older and being able to ask those questions of things that had happened, that just puts a different perspective on. There's a different depth. The roots go deeper for me in understanding some of the things that my family went through when I was a child, than what my memories were or what I had thought that they were earlier. And that, again, that multi-generational space that includes time to be able to speak, has such a profound influence, I think, on the next generation.
I agree. I agree. I think that as children, we have a completely different perspective and we think that we understand everything.
Right.
And as we get older and our perspectives change, we realize, because for the longest time, probably until I was 10 years old, I thought that I was supposed to be president of the United States. I really thought that because my everyone on my birthday stuck out a flag on my birthday.
On
And
your
my birthday is
birthday.
on
Yes.
June 14th, Flag Day.
Right.
And so in my mind, I was like, it's because they're getting ready for me. It's because I'm going to be president and
Yes.
everyone knows. And in my mind, I really thought this. I mean, I do not want to be president in any capacity at all. But it took until I was 10 years old, but it's the same concept. Like the things that we develop these beliefs as children.
Mm.
And as we mature and as we get older, if we can have these conversations and we can understand at a deeper level, our relationships grow with our parents, but
Yes.
also our understanding is so much better. Like, I don't want to be president. And I didn't know that when I was 10. I was like, this is just the way it is.
Right.
But yeah, and our perspectives change.
Mm.
And knowing that our perspectives can change
Yes.
and honoring change is a very important space to
Mhm.
have as, we learn different stories, different ideas that we had. There's so many different things that I think it's a good space to honor that we sometimes forget.
Yes. Yes. Bethany, as you think about what you have created and the courses that you're offering and the curriculum that you have lovingly put together, uh, and using all of the structure and wisdom an experience from being a teacher at a Montessori school, putting that lovingly into what you were creating for adults. What are some of the things that you see ahead of you as you consider where you are and what's next?
Well, I'm really hoping that people will grasp onto my self-care concept because people have not, I've never heard anyone else doing this.
Mm,
But what I've created is it's a course, but I also, when I do coaching, I will go through this because there's 5 areas of our lives that we really have to have self-care for.
mhm.
And if we can have self-care in these areas, which are, you have your physical self-care, your
Yeah.
social self-care, your intellectual self-care, your cognitive self-care, and then you have your oh great, I forgot one.
Spiritual.
Spiritual. Thank you so much. Spiritual self-care. If you can fill each one of these areas,
Mhm.
what really happens is that you don't feel overwhelmed and stressed. I have
Mhm.
spoke at so many educational conferences about burnout because
Mhm.
teachers are
Yeah,
burned out.
it's real.
They are burned out, and that the last conference that I spoke at, there was no more places to sit.
Mhm.
Like they had 120 chairs, and I had people sitting all over the floor and lined up against the wall because that
Remembering.
is how important this topic is.
Yes.
Because we feel burned out, and it's not just teachers.
Yeah.
It is moms, it is business owners, it is coaches, it is
Mhm.
anyone. We all experience that. And so when people say, like, who do you serve? Who's your niche? I'm like, this is a really difficult one for me to answer
Yeah.
because I feel like we all feel burned out. We
Mm,
all get to that point where we just feel like we're just holding up so many things and it becomes difficult.
mm.
And as we're holding up all these things, we're dropping them. And then we start with the vicious cycle. Oh, why did I do that? And guess what? As soon as we start dropping things, we get into more of a vicious cycle. And we
Right.
talked a little bit about that. And
Yes.
then we're dropping everything. And what I want to teach and what I really want to be known for is how to fill each one of these areas in your life.
Mm,
And when you fill each area of your life, you're able to give because how we feel better about ourselves is looking outside of ourselves. But we cannot give from an empty cup. We
right.
cannot give if we have nothing left to give. If we are already dropping everything and
Right.
caught in a vicious cycle and
Right.
feeling overwhelmed and not okay, how
Mhm.
can we give? How can we see our own value?
Mm,
And so that is what I really want to teach people and help them to understand is their value. And you have to fill your bucket first before you can fill in anyone else's.
so
And
true.
self-care is not doing your hair and getting your nails done. It really is doing things that are not always fun, but in the long run, they are because really what you do today is going to impact tomorrow.
Yeah.
And it's hard to remember that, but it's such a true statement.
Mhm. One of the things that I do for self care is as soon as I have all of the paperwork to do the previous year's taxes, I want to make the appointment. I want to make sure my spreadsheets are organized and I want to give it to the person who's going to do that work. I don't want to be waiting until the last minute
Yeah.
because by law, people have to send things by the end of January. And so typically by the middle of February, all the last ones have kind of shuffled through the mail, those that are still coming by mail. And that's part of my own personal self care because having those things that I know have to happen, having them just wait around is every time I look at it or think about it, it's taking just a little bit of energy, right? And after a while, I'm like, oh, that just feels so heavy. Well, if I took care of it in the beginning, if I choose to take care of it in a timely manner, it doesn't do the taxing. It doesn't take more energy. It's just this is what happens every year. And as I continue to keep in my notes all the different places that I'm um, writing either checks to or credit cards to, but making sure that I'm putting those underneath the same categories that are on the tax statements or the tax forms. then it just becomes a much easier thing. Every single year, it gets easier for me to do. And was it easy to set up? No, but it became one of those self-care pieces for me that I was like, this happens every year. And if I like to not feel the way that I've been feeling about it, then there are things that I can do to make sure that I am being proactive with this. And then as soon as it's off my plate, it's no longer on my plate, right? It's for someone else to take care of in a timely manner. So I agree with you on that place that, getting your hair done and your nails can be fun, but the self-care is, how can I be guarding my energy? How can I do all the things that need to be done? The laundry, the grocery shopping, and whether you have children or you're living by yourself, those things still have to be done. So how do you do the necessities of life and then show up in a way that you are sharing your own incredible brilliance with the world and having the space for creativity with that? How do you do all those different pieces? And so I think for me, that space of self-care really is about, how do I look at a year, know that I want to get away, that I want to have downtime, that I want to have time that that's just completely rejuvenation time. How do I plan for that if I put it last? Well, if I look at my calendar and put it on first, then it has a much better chance of happening, right? And then putting all the other pieces in as well. What are some of the things that you find that are helpful for you in your own self-care?
So when I'm going back to my hummingbird story.
Yes.
So when that happened and I started needing to look outside myself and grow myself, I created something then. And this is actually the beginning of how everything kind of started when I look back. But I created a better me list, is what I call it.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, I thought, if I just do a couple things for myself every day, I'm going to get better.
Yes.
And I only put 3 things on that list, and they were all things I needed to do. And they were: make my bed, drink water,
Mm-hmm.
take my vitamins. Like,
Yes.
they're easy. They were not hard. These are things I need to do,
Right.
but I wasn't doing them.
Mm-hmm.
And I have kept that list for over 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And that list now has 17 things on it. And
Yeah.
I try to do them every day.
Mm-hmm.
And they're things that encompass every area of self-care, just a couple.
Right.
And a lot of the times I'll do a lot more within those areas of self-care than what is on my list. But these are things I try to incorporate every day. And, one of them is spend time on a hobby, be
Mm-hmm.
present, stick
Yeah.
to phone timers. Like, I have a timer on my phone, so I can't go crazy doom scrolling or something. And
Right.
it's crucial that we do things to guard our energy,
Yes.
guard our time, and really, we're guarding our lives. If
Yes.
we want to live and really want to live to the extent where we feel that freedom, just that exuberant joy that just resonates from us, and be in a virtuous cycle and not even look at that vicious cycle and continue in a virtuous cycle mode, we need to fill ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so these are things that I like to teach and how I do them so that everyone can feel that, because everyone wants that. Because when you're like that, you attract good energy, you attract good
Yes.
people,
Yes.
and the world just seems lighter.
Yes. Yes. I love that you're able to talk about things that we can do that automatically,
Exactly.
because there are these laws in place, things that we do that automatically draw in high quality people to us.
Yeah.
You working those 5 jobs to make sure that you were caring for your boys and that you were making a better life. Those things elevated you. It got you to interacting with more people. It got you um, influencing more people as well. And it ultimately brought you into this relationship with your current husband that's such a healthy, good space,
It's
that
good.
he was able to take care of the son while he was at home, working from home. And then when he needed to go back into the office, you were like, okay, this is my turn then to also do this. Um, and so I so appreciate that you have done so many things in business and done business so many different ways. And what I hear as I listen to your story is this continuity of the story of the seeds, that things grow and you plant them in the right place, you water them with gratitude, with grace, giving them time, and watch what comes out of that, and then love on what comes out of that. Would that be one of the through lines that you see as well?
Yes, definitely. That is exactly. We have to recognize that even when we don't feel like we have any seeds of potential within us, we really do.
Yes.
And we get to those points too, but they're there. You just have to grow them.
I think one of the ways to find them can be to listen to the people who may have been a second grade teacher, maybe somebody in high school, maybe it was at your first job, things that people said to you, oh, you're really good at, and to listen to
Yes,
that, because whatever you are really good at is so natural to you that you probably have forgotten that it's not, or you probably don't see that it's not easy for everybody else to do. So, whatever it is, and so to be listening in, and maybe even to ask other people, what is it that you see that I do well or that I do easily? Well and easily are two completely different things.
very different.
Yeah. So just because you do something well, some people may think that it's really easy, and that may be something that really is a strong suit for you. It doesn't necessarily mean that that's the area that you want to push into. It might be. And just because something is easy for you doesn't mean it's completely developed in you either. It's just been easy, and you're further along than other people are in that place. And so sometimes even those skills are ones that require learning more from other people to be able to develop them in a different way, that you're able to share them with the world in a way that it becomes the most impactful.
Yes. I feel like you can really, life skills and just learning these basic skills are
Mhm.
kind of like learning how to swim, taking online swimming lessons. Like you can learn the technique, you
Mhm.
can learn everything about it, but then as soon as you're inside the water, it's brand new.
Yeah.
None of these things, nothing will work unless you learn it and you apply things in your life.
Mhm.
You can read as many books as you want.
Yeah.
You can listen to as many things as you want, as you can like absorb. You can do as much as you can.
Yeah.
But unless you are applying
Mhm.
things that you have learned, it's going to be like taking an online swimming lesson. You can learn all the technique, you can do everything, but as soon as you're in that water, it's going to be all new and
Yeah.
you won't know what to do.
And that's the beauty of Montessori school and the Montessori thought, is that everything is about application. In fact, in some ways, you're learning from the application. You are doing,
Yes.
right? You are doing different things. And then you're able to go back and go, oh, I can see how those pieces fit together in a different way. Hmm.
Yeah,
Was Montessori
exactly.
started by somebody who was Swiss or somebody who was German? I have
She was
forgotten.
actually from Spain.
Spain. Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
Maria Montessori. Yeah. And she was one of the first women doctors.
Mhm.
And it's an interesting story. I know we have a short time, but the men didn't like her. And so they put her with the children that they thought something was wrong with them.
Yeah,
That, the children's house. These are the rejects. They're not following all the rules.
right.
And she studied them and she's like, there's nothing wrong with them. There's nothing wrong.
They
We
learn
are just not
differently.
meeting their needs. And it's about meeting the whole child and the whole adult and the whole person.
Yes.
And that is something that is so crucial now because we are onions.
We
We have layers and layers and layers and layers. We cannot be niched down. We
right.
have so much of us and we all need to nurture all of us to be
Yeah.
able to thrive.
That's so beautifully said. Bethany, are there things that you want to reiterate?
Um, just again, we have these seeds of potential in us. Don't ever forget it. Don't
Ah,
ever forget that you can grow things. Nobody is a perfect pianist or a perfect dancer
right.
or perfect at anything. You go to the gym and you run for the first time and it hurts.
Yeah.
Like, we are not good the first time we do anything.
Mm,
So, as long as you're continually nurturing
mm.
your seeds, continuing watering them, putting sunshine on them, they will grow. Some seeds take longer than others, but stick with it, and good things will happen.
Oh, you are absolutely right about that. Thank you so much for your valuable time and sharing with our audience.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And to our audience, we say thank you so much for being here to the very end, soaking in all of this goodness. I will be thinking about this conversation for the weeks to come. I can feel it already because she hit on some really important things. The idea of seeds and seeds germinating, seeds growing, seeds, even when they're in places that they aren't necessarily thriving, will go into a place of dormancy so that later on they can thrive. These are incredible, incredible tools and concepts and ideas. And until next time, take good care of you.